All right, we have to review CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference hosted by the American Conservative Union. I feel like they just did CPAC in Florida. They did it again in Texas this weekend. We are going to go through speeches. We are going to go through attendees. We are going to look at the results of the straw poll. It's just a big CPAC day. We're getting all the CPAC stuff out of the way. The first thing we're going to start with is Donald Trump's speech that he gave at CPAC. The big theme of the speech was Trump telling lies about the election and also lots of really weird and incoherent things happening. So let's just start going through it. We'll start with some of the weird stuff. In this first clip, Trump's teeth sort of chirp. It's an unusual thing. And he launches an attack, of course, on wind farms, his favorite enemy.
And we don't need windmills in Texas and lots of other places. We don't need windmills. They ought to end that program as quickly as they can.
So Trump there continuing his brutal assault on wind power, a completely incoherent one. And teeth chirping, very interestingly. Trump then continuing to sort of struggle to get certain words out. Here talking about illegal youth arrives and arrivals.
And Border Patrol. Overall, illegal youth arrives and arrivals are up nearly 5.
Yeah. So not only are youth arrivals up, but youth arrives are also up. And then Trump really getting into, I guess, what we would sort of call the meat of the speech, which is starting to talk about how he actually won, and someone yells Trump won, and the crowd just absolutely loves it.
It's true. We all won. We all won.
Yeah, we all won. We did really. And then it starts to get more confusing. In this next clip, Trump lists things that worked against him during the election, but he still sort of won, but it was like they cheated, but he won anyway, even though not really publicly announced. See if you can follow this.
Then without any basis whatsoever, Twitter and Facebook banned the New York Post's account of this terrible story.
Right.
After the election, one poll showed that at least 10% of Joe Biden's voters would have switched their vote if they had known about Joe and Hunter Biden scandals.
So this is the idea that the Hunter Biden, quote, scandal about bringing 3 laptops across the country to a blind guy who's not sure, but thinks because of a sticker that they were probably Hunter's hard drives. If that hadn't been suppressed by the so-called fake news media, Trump would have won.
Enough to flip the results of numerous states.
But he won anyway, right? But he would have won, but he won anyway.
But don't worry about it because we won those states anyway. We won them.
Wait a second. So did that make it so you lost, or did you actually win? It's all very, very confusing. And then Trump continued pushing this. And as Trump likes to say, if you repeat a lie often enough, people start to see it as the truth. And he continued doing the vote rigging stuff.
Every time the media references the election hoax, they say the fraud is unproven.
True.
And while there is no evidence, there's so much evidence. You saw what happened in Georgia the other day. They found 35,000 votes. Then they deleted in Georgia over 100,000 votes. I said, because they were so bad voters. I said, why didn't you try doing it before the election?
The voters were bad, so they deleted votes. I mean, this barely is English.
Lost by this much. Why didn't you do it before the election? There's bad things going on in this country.
So continuing to spread this absolute nonsense, Trump then moved into attacking his own former Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's actually attacked Bill Barr a number of times now, including because Barr didn't do enough to take the election and he didn't go after Democrats enough. And very casually in this segment, Trump also misstates what Brett Kavanaugh was even accused of. I mean, it's all lies all the way down.
Said this because I didn't want to, but I will. I'm very disappointed that Bill Barr was unable to hold anyone accountable.
Right.
For the countless abuses of power by the Democrats.
The Justice Department wasn't operating at the direction of Trump. Translated is what that means.
He didn't hold the corrupt officials who spied on our campaign. Remember, I said, they're spying on our campaign. And boy,
That's, of course, another lie that Trump's been repeating for a long time.
that was like a lightning rod went off. Not the authors of the phony dossier, they weren't held responsible. Not the women who slandered and lied and defamed Brett Kavanaugh. They said, Brett Kavanaugh, he had an affair. They didn't go after them. They lied so badly.
Now, of course, Brett Kavanaugh was not accused of having an affair. He was accused of sexual assault and rape. And so even misstating what it was there. This is also another funny thing. Check out what Donald Trump claims Joe Biden has done in his short time in office so far.
In a matter of mere months, Joe Biden has brought our country to the brink of ruin.
Who could possibly believe that? And the answer is the people at CPAC. And later, we're actually going to be looking at some of the interviews, because remember, if people don't believe this trash, Trump's in an empty room yelling at the wall. The fact that the room is full with people who believe it is as much a part of the problem, or even a bigger problem, than the fact that Trump exists. Then Trump actually telling the truth here. I don't even fully get this, but Trump says being impeached twice made him even worse. I don't know what he means, but I think he's actually telling the truth here.
I understand that. I didn't become different. I got impeached twice. I didn't change. I became worse. I became worse.
Okay. Trump saying impeachment made him even worse, and that I actually do agree with. That's very true. Almost beyond parody, they're going back to the migrant caravans at any time that it's convenient. It's migrant caravans thanks to Democrats. It's like infrastructure week. It's like clockwork with these guys.
We shut down the migrant caravans. You haven't seen those caravans. You get ready because they're coming up right now.
They're back.
You've been watching them come through. And in those caravans, you have some deadly people.
You know, I have to tell you, I think Trump's disgusting. But if someone went to him and actually, convinced him, as he likes to say, they go to him and they say,
Sir.
Exactly. And they go, sir, just promote the vaccine. Just go out there and promote the vaccine. And if Trump went out there and said, guys, listen, you know how we cheer because I made the vaccines? This is the lie he tells his supporters. The vaccine I made, it's great for you. Every single one of my patriotic supporters, get the patriotic vaccine. I got it in January. My respect for Trump would go from 0 to 1 or 2%. It would dramatically increase my respect for the guy if he took these opportunities and instead of talking about migrant caravans, just straight up said, get yourselves vaccinated. He's not doing it. Instead, he's back on the cognitive test.
Makes it very easy for Democrats to cheat and to win elections. You don't have too many of them in Texas, do you, Louis? Doc Ronnie, do we have it? The great Doc Ronnie, my doctor.
Yeah.
Became a congressman, right? He only beat 22 people. 22 people. He was great. I said, Doc, how about if I take a cognitive test? He said, well, you can do it, sir, but if you do, it'll be public. Well, I said, what's wrong with that? He said, well, if you don't do well, sir, it's not going to be pretty.
Sir.
I said, is it hard? He said, after the first 5 questions, it gets very hard.
Now, we've already debunked that. The test is not difficult.
I said, let's take a shot at it. And we did it, and we aced it, right? I aced it.
Again, these crowds cheering that Trump didn't fail a test for serious advanced dementia, that's now an applause line.
And one of the doctors said he's never seen anybody that aced it. And some of those
Sir, no one's aced this test before. You have the littlest amount of dementia of anyone we've ever looked at.
questions are not easy, I will tell you that.
Tough stuff.
How do you think Joe would do on a cognitive test?
All right. So anyway, there's Trump back on the cognitive test. He's still talking about Hillary Clinton, by the way. And when he does, the crowd predictably starts chanting, lock her up. Lock up. They're for law and order and due process. They say lock up people not even charged with crimes.
Crooked Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, is the most angry person in the United States today. She's gone away. You know why? She said, why the hell didn't you do that for me in 2016? Forget it. There are more people than her.
So going with the lock her up stuff, Trump here saying the quiet part out loud about polling. This is funny because we knew this was what he was doing. And he's saying it to his supporters.
By the way, you have a poll coming out. Unfortunately, I want to know what it is. They do that straw poll, right? Now, if it's bad, I say it's fake.
Right.
If it's good, I say that's the most accurate poll perhaps ever.
That we knew that's what he was doing. And yet his supporters laugh, but he's telling you the truth, guys. That's the truth about Trump's view on polling. And then lastly, capping the speech with more lies about the election. And this will be a big piece of 2022 and 2024.
We will never give up our search for truth and justice for what happened in the corrupt presidential election of 2020, because without that truth, we cannot have an honest election in
all that happened is he lost.
2022 or 2024, no matter what they want to tell you. And our country will soon stand proudly for free and strong and proper elections.
Now, of course, we mostly have them already, aside from some irregularities. The real election fraud is the voter suppression that takes place. So a completely deranged speech. We'll look at some interviews with attendees. We will look at the straw poll. We're going to look at everything today, as well as some other things. We are now gearing up for the 16th anniversary of the David Pakman Show on August 16th. It will be the 16th anniversary of the show. And we are going to be doing a membership blowout, the likes of which no doctors have ever even heard. Just get on my newsletter at davidpakman.com. And then on August 16th, you will get something very special in your email and a great opportunity to get a heavily, heavily discounted membership. Let me know your thoughts about the Trump speech. You can find me on Twitter at dpakman, and we'll be right back. One of our sponsors is privacy.com. They're giving you $5 when you sign up for their completely free service at privacy.com/Pakman. I've been using Privacy for a little over a year now. You've heard me talk about it before. It's a lifesaver, and here's how it works. Takes just a couple of minutes to set up. Anytime you buy something online or on the phone, instead of actually using your real credit card number, the Privacy app and the browser plugin let you give each company a randomized virtual credit card number that you create out of thin air. It'll even autofill the card number with one click. And the payment is taken out of your checking account without the merchant ever knowing your real information. So this allows you to keep your banking information secure, but also to take control of your finances. You can create up to 12 of these virtual credit cards a month. You can set spending limits. You can freeze them. You can delete them anytime you want. So when you do this, it means you're not going to be charged when you don't want to be, because you can destroy the virtual card number right after using it, which, for instance, I love using free trials because I know I won't be charged when the trial is over if I use a virtual credit card number. You're keeping your identity private by not telling companies who you are. You're keeping your bank or credit card info protected against data breaches and identity theft. And it's free. And like I said, you'll get $5 to spend when you sign up at privacy.com/Pakman.